Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Charlotte 250 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Velocity Racing League Cup Series 2022. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today in 1080p, 60 frames a second. As per usual, folks, I hope you all are excited and ready for today's race here today at Charlotte. 250 laps that we are going to be completing here around the track, and drivers are beginning to complete or start their qualifying laps here for today. Nick Nickerson, one of the first drivers to make their way out onto the track, with Shawn Williams, Nicholas Lovell also falling into place as well, making their way out on the track for the start of today's race. And before we get started into the action here today, we're going to take a quick look at our point standings. No, we are not. That is going to cause some problems here on our end, so we will take a look at that a little bit later here. But anywho, anyhow, right now, looking at Nick Nickerson, as well as Shawn Williams, Nicholas Lovell, Patrick Colby, Paul Mikolajczyk, Jayden Hopp, and a few other drivers here that are also beginning to make their way onto track and start their qualifying here today. Nick Nickerson, one of the first drivers to actually have made his way around about halfway here as we follow along with Nicholas Lovell in the number 10 machine, another driver we saw last week with quite an impressive performance last week. So given the performance we've seen from Nicholas Lovell, Tony Hilbrand's the winner of the race last week at North Wilkesboro. Coming into this week's race, we'll see if the 92 machine is going to have what it takes to come out on top here at the Charlotte Oval. But at the moment, it's going to be Howie Briss in the 97, starting off on the top of the timing tower for today's race. Ashley Molyneux taking that third place spot there as Paul Mikolajczyk works his way into second, but only for just a moment, as drivers are all starting to complete their qualifying laps here for today. You only get 2 laps for your qualifying, so the best of those 2 laps are considered your time for that for today. So whatever, you know, when you're looking at the timing tower and you're seeing just how close everyone is with one another, we're talking tenths of a second between these drivers. That is absolutely insanity how close it becomes, and ultimately what makes the difference between starting off on the front of the grid and ultimately starting off in not the front of the grid. But anyway, anyhow, all of these drivers here have shown very good, very, very impressive oval racing here throughout this series. Now, we've seen drivers make their way into some interesting road courses, and I gotta say, it has been phenomenal watching every single one of these drivers here week after week. Matthew Fitz in the 69 machine going to be completing his qualifying here today. That's going to put the 69 in 12th place at the moment. Logan Jones in the 15th spot currently. And that looks like that's going to be the end of our qualifying. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other drivers out here on track. James Coulibaly going to be one of those drivers here. Going to make his way out on the track and hopefully get himself a good qualifying time here. But last week at North Wilkesboro, we saw Tony Hilbrand take away the win for that race, with Shawn Williams in second and Kevin Foster taking home third. So going into this week, we're on a slightly bigger track than we were at North Wilkesboro. So I expect to see a lot more drafting, hopefully, towards the beginning of the race. As tires start to fall off, we'll see the packs start to separate as time goes on. But given how much room that we have here and knowing how fast Charlotte is, I fully expect to see these drivers all really give it their all here. James Coulibaly comes across the line. Not going to be quite enough to put himself anywhere in the top 10. He's going to place himself in 16th at this point in time, with his best time being a 31.18. Howie Briss at the top of the field with a 30.24. So Howie Briss here seems to be the driver to look out for, as qualifying is going to see the checkered flag come out, and drivers will go ahead and get ready for the start of today's race, the Charlotte 250 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today, and I hope everyone is excited for the action that we have ready and in store for you all at home, as we have a brief moment here. Race control getting everything sorted out before the start of the race here, and we are going to have our starting grid up and ready, as we have Howie Briss starting out in the front at the top of the field in the 97 machine. It's going to be Nick Nickerson in the 2 machine, starting out in that second place spot in your first row. Ashley Molyneux in the 51, taking that third place spot. Scott Shire in the 4 machine, going to be in 4th place, ironically. Jayden Hopp in the 81, going to be in 5th place. Shawn Williams in the 89, taking that 6th place spot, rounding out your 3rd row. Tony Hilbrands in the 92 in 7th place. Paul Mikolajczyk taking that 8th place spot. Michael Keithley in 9th place. Benny Hogan in the 10th place spot, with Nicholas Lovell in 11th. Matthew Fitz in 12th. Charles Jurek in the 13th spot. Thomas Sewell in 14th. Logan Jones in 15th. James Koulibaly in 16th. Cody Miller in 17th. Caitlyn Height in 18th. Patrick Colby in 19th. James Miller in 20th. Michael Ashmore in 21st. Steve Ulrich in 22nd. Howie Dietrich in 23rd. Keith Lee in 24th. And that is going to round out our field here today, as the drivers make their way out onto track behind the pace car and get ready for the start of today's race. And it's going to be Howie Briss, Nick Nickerson, side by side here on the start of today's race. And I was wrong about 250 laps. It is 250 miles, and that translates to 167 laps here at Charlotte. That is my badsy. But with that out of the way here, I have got to say, we have seen a lot of strong performances out of all of these drivers here. And given kind of the healthy mix that we have for this series, we have road courses, we have short track ovals, we have the big legendary ovals that we all know and love. It's a great mixture, and these drivers all kind of had this opportunity to really kind of put their skills to the test in a car that really is not designed for most of these situations outside of the oval course racing. So with that in mind, we are going to see an incredible start to this race. Scott Shire there in the number 4 machine, who we saw last week as well, with Jayden Hopp in the 89. A couple drivers just to list off here before we see the green flag fly for the very first time here at Charlotte. And Charles Jurek in the chat saying that his iRacing has crashed as the green flag has flown here. That's going to be very unfortunate for Jurek. Howie Briss, Nick Nickerson going to be side by side going into turn 1 here. Howie Briss just trying to get a little bit of an edge over that number 2 machine as he tries to get away from him down the back straight. Scott Shire, Ashley Molyneux going to be almost door-to-door here. Right behind them, it's battling for that 3rd place spot. It's Scott Shire holding on to that 3rd place spot there on the top line of Ashley Molyneux in the 51. Down low, coming across the line here, bringing us lap 2 of 167. Look at Jayden Hopp in the 81 machine. Going into turn 1, down on the inside, almost on the inside of Scott Shire in that number 4 machine. Jayden Hopp here trying to take advantage of the draft in front of him of Ashley Molyneux in the 51 machine. Trying to get as close as he possibly can. Speaking of people getting as close as they can, you can see the 38, Paul Mikolajczyk, riding on the bumper of Shawn Williams in that 89 machine. And Paul Mikolajczyk taking a little bit of a vacation there for just a second and reappearing on track. But Paul seemingly finding a better line down on the inside of the 89 of Shawn Williams. Paul going to follow behind Michael Keithley now in the 53 machine. So we have a long line down the back straight going into turn 3 with battles forming all over this field right now. You have a huge opportunity for all of these drivers to really make a lot of things happen here right at the early stages of this race here. Howie Briss still in the lead, but behind him, a lot of battling is going to be happening over the course of this race here. 50 to 60 laps is where we are going to expect drivers to come down into pit road, get a fresh set of tires, fill up on fuel. Look at this, though. Paul Mikolajczyk on the inside of Scott Shire. He's able to get around him, taking that 7th place spot here. The 38 doing incredible work here, working his way up through this field. But another driver that is kind of silently working his way through this field at the moment, kind of at his lonesome. Michael Keithley in the 53 machine, holding on to 6th place right now. He's up 3 spots from the start of this race. Very good thing to see for any driver, really, at the early part of this race. Get yourself worked up this grid nice and early. That way, you know, once pit cycles start to come around, you have a better chance of staying out there in the front. Tony Hilbrand's down on the inside of Jayden Hopp. Excuse me, that's actually Ashley Molyneux on his outside there. Look at this. Very, very close between these drivers. Let's ride on board here with Michael Keithley getting close to the bumper of the 92 of Tony Hilbrand's as we come out of 4. Michael Keithley here doing very, very good work, up into 5th place now, up 4 spots. Again, since the start of this race here, Michael Keithley just silently moving his way through this field and doing so quite impressively, I do have to say. Ashley Molyneux down right behind that 38 machine of Paul Mikolajczyk. He's able to get herself around Scott Shire in that 4 machine. You have Paul Mikolajczyk here also starting to get a little bit of a groove here formed in front of himself in that 6th place spot. Ashley trying to do her best to keep behind him. A little bit of a scrape there from the 51 as she's coming down into, I believe that was turn 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that would have been turn 3. So a little bit of bumping and grinding happening here on track, and honestly, that's going to happen on a track like this, like Charlotte. It's a very, very fast track, and once these cars get up to speed, it's tough to slow them back down. But speaking of drivers that are not slowing down, it's Tony Hilbrand's Michael Keithley. Both of these drivers have done incredible work, just kind of getting their way up here into this top 5. Michael Keithley now going to be on that bumper still of Tony Hilbrand's that we were riding on board with a few moments ago. Tony Hilbrand's just under a quarter of a second behind Jayden Hopp in the 81 machine. Michael Keithley seems to have quite a bit of speed in the 53. We'll check back in with them and see if they're able to make anything happen going forward throughout the race here. But Ashley Molyneux seems to be falling off here, down into 8th place. Not exactly certain what's going on in that 51 machine, but still trying to do everything in her power to keep this thing together. Scott Shire seeing that struggle and starting to slowly kind of creep in there. You can see Scott Shire kind of bringing along a string of drivers behind him. Nicholas Lovell, Shawn Williams, Matthew Fitz, Logan Jones, just to name a few. Ashley now going to be the leader of this string here, but only for just a moment. Scott Shire doesn't seem to be too eager on wanting to stay behind that 51. He definitely seems eager to get around that 51 here and work his way through this field as it's expected. Well, back here, it's a battle for 13th. James Miller, Logan Jones, both were side by side there for just a moment as they came out of 4. James Miller able to get himself on top of that one, taking that 13th place spot. He's now going to be leading Logan Jones around here, but who was that? like someone got a little bit sideways possibly there for a moment. Not sure if that was just the camera angle giving me a little deceiving look there, but that looked pretty interesting there for just a moment. It might have even been Benny Hogan that I was looking at there, just out in front of Ashley Molyneux, that we're currently locked on here. Scott Shire almost on the bumper of this 51 machine. He's trying to do everything he can here. Nicholas Lovell, another driver that I really want to pay attention here to. He is another driver that is a very, very good long-run driver, I would have to say. Now, there's obviously a few drivers here that I'm not going over at the moment, but Nicholas Lovell, I have seen time and time again, you know, he's kind of stuck back around mid-pack, and towards the end of the race, you know, we're talking third, second, sometimes even leading the field. It's just give the number 10, give Nicholas Lovell some time, let that number 10 just kind of settle in, and you'll see that thing shine. So we're going to be looking here with Nicholas Lovell for just a moment as he follows behind Scott Shire and Ashley Molyneux. They get almost kind of door to door here. There's still quite a few feet between the two. Ashley Molyneux diving down in front of the 4 of Scott Shire. Possibly a little bit of defense being thrown there from that 51 machine. Nicholas Lovell here continues to trail behind Scott Shire, doing great work as well, just staying as close as he can, just a few feet from the bumper of that 4. So great racing that we're seeing so far from all of our drivers. Lap 17 of 167. Right now, we're looking at Logan Jones up high on top of Patrick Colby. At the moment, not able to hold on to that spot there as he's going to get passed by this train of drivers at this point in time. It's going to be also there, the 76, Charles Jurek, who we said a moment ago, he was in the live stream chat saying that iRacing has crashed. And so he'll be quite a few laps down, and indeed he is. Right now, as he comes across the line, he is working on lap number 9. So just about half of what the field is currently on. Charles Jurek, definitely not ideal. Not ideal for the 76 machine here today, but he's still here. He's still going to race it out. Got to give credit to Charles there in that 76 machine in the Fallout 76 sponsored car. As we look back up here, though, look at this. Wow. Scott Shire gets out in front of Michael Keithley. Look at this pack of drivers battling for us. Well, really, they're battling for all positions, but ultimately it's for 6th place, and Scott Shire in the lead. Michael Keithley falling behind that number 4 machine as well, just trying to stick in that trail there, but look just behind those drivers. The 5 of Benny Hogan, Nicholas Lovell, almost door-to-door. Michael Keithley now getting a little bit of pressure from Nicholas. And that number 10 machine down low as we come out of turn 4 and across the checkered line. It's lap 20 of 167. Shawn Williams here as well, trying to get himself in on some of this mix here as we ride on board with the 89 of Shawn Williams for just a moment here. Behind Nicholas Lovell. Absolutely impressive field of drivers here. Let's actually get a different, little bit slightly better angle here. Let's actually ride on board here with Caitlyn Height in the 18 machine. I believe this is also Caitlyn and Ashley's first official race for the season here. I know that they were a little upset about having to miss the first couple, so would like definitely great to have them here for today's race, and they're definitely doing a great job here as well. Caitlyn Height, though, giving Ashley a little bit of pressure. Nothing to come from it, though. I thought something was going to get a little spicy there, but Caitlyn doing a very good job in the 18 machine. Holding on to 11th place right now, up 7 positions, 8 positions now from the start of this race here. She's looking down on the inside of Ashley Molyneux in the 51 going into turn 1. Ashley shuts the door for that 10th place spot. So I'm loving what I'm seeing here. All of these drivers here are, even lap 22, we're still seeing these battles kind of mid-pack. And really, that's kind of where the battles are the most important. I mean, obviously, other than for the lead, but as the race progresses on, it's those battles that you have to get yourself up into the front that prove to be the most valuable, at least I think. So, taking a look here, looking at Caitlyn Height in the 18 machine right now in 9th place. Actually, now as I took a moment there to check out the field here, but Howie Briss, Jayden Hopp, not a whole lot's changed. Well, actually, speaking of Jayden Hopp, he's actually worked his way up into 2nd place here, folks. All the way. The 81 machine almost knocking on the bumper of that 97 of Howie Briss here. That is actually quite surprising, I have to say. Jayden Hopp is proving that he's got an incredible amount of pace here at Charlotte. Now, does Howie have anything to answer back once Jayden Hopp, maybe this is it right here. Jayden Hopp looking down on the inside, going into turn 1. Coming out of 2, down the back straight. Jayden Hopp going to have enough speed here going into turn 3. Still on the inside of the 97. Howie Briss has the opportunity to close the door on the 81 of Jayden Hopp. It looks like he is just going to do so as we come across the line. It's lap 26 of 167 here for the Charlotte 250 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Checking back in with some of the battles happening back in the midfield. Nick Nickerson and Shawn Williams, both side by side here. Going into 3 and out of turn 4. Shawn Williams able to get out in front of the 2 machine. Caitlyn Height in tow. And across the checkered line going into turn 1. You can see just in front of them it's Nicholas Lovell and Scott Shire. Trailing just in front of them. So this pack has kind of started to settle out here as well. That pack of drivers that we saw duking for positions just a while back has steadied out just a little bit and it started to look pretty calm here. Lap 27, 28 now as we cross the line here once again at Charlotte. This has been some very impressive racing from all of these drivers, and again, we've seen that throughout this whole season. Tony Hilbrand's going to get a little bit of pressure, though, from Paul Words, Mason. Paul Mikolajczyk giving a little bit of pressure to Tony Hilbrand's in the 92 machine. As we come out of turn 4, it's kind of surprising. Well, actually, not really. Paul is one heck of a driver, and it's not very surprising at all to see that Paul is slowly working his way up into this top 3 if he can crack his way around the 92 of Tony Hilbrand. And our first caution is out. Michael Keithley seems to be involved in an incident here. Logan Jones as well. Oh no. So the pace car is going to come out on lap 30 here. Let's take a look at what exactly happened. Whoa. All right, so looks like Michael Keithley, oh no, comes back into the track and gets in front of Logan Jones. Logan nowhere to go. Take a look at this here, folks. And let's actually back this up here for just a moment. I want you all to see just how fast this happens and just how little time that you have to react to something like this. It's coming down the track and boom. You know, it is amazing the reaction times of the drivers that are on the racetracks today. And you know, I was watching a live race the other day, and it intrigued me at how many drivers there were that were not even old enough to have a driver's license, believe it or not. You know, it's very interesting to see the difference in age for drivers. You know, you'll have drivers that are out on track that have been racing for 30 years. You'll have drivers that are on track that have never driven a car before, but it's their first time and they're going to go out and have a blast. And, you know, that's all fun. That's all great. And so to come here in a sim racing world where it's kind of all the same, you get a lot of different walks of life, breeds of people that all come together to share the same passion, and that is racing. So it's great to come here for another fantastic race. This is race number 6 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. VRL standing for Velocity Racing League. If you are new here and just now tuning in for the first time today, welcome to the show, and I hope you are ready and excited for some oval racing here at Charlotte. As we follow behind the pace car and get things sorted back out here, and get our drivers sorted back out, re-racked, and lined back up for the next go-around. It's going to be James Coulibaly, Howie Briss out in the front row. Jayden Hopp, Tony Hilbrand's in your second row on this restart here. And James Coulibaly, in the 12 machine, actually did not come down into pit road this during this caution. So if you remember at the beginning of the broadcast, we did mention our fuel window. If you weren't here towards the beginning, welcome. But our fuel window for today's race is going to be 50 to 60 laps. So James here, not exactly in a position where he has to come in. It's just more or less the opportunity's open. He has the option, but you do only have 6 sets of tires for this race, which I say only, but that is still quite a bit. You know, you kind of want to be a little conservative on that. And James here, he might even be thinking, you know what, I'm probably not going to be able to stay out here in the front anyway. So I'm just going to stick with it and go with my normal, as per schedule, pit strategy. So there's a lot of different things that you could throw out there, a lot of different assumptions and ideas. But at the end of the day here, James Coulibaly is going to be in trouble, to say the least here. Howie Briss, Jayden Hopp, Tony, practically the okay. He must have heard me talking about it, because James here's coming down into pit road, and he's probably listening to the broadcast right now, and he's thinking to himself, you know what, this is a bad idea. And anyhow, Jayden Hopp, Howie Briss here, gonna be starting out on the front row, side by side. We come across the checkered line. The lights go off on the pace car, so this will be the last time around with that beautiful Mustang iRacing pace car. And then we'll see it come down into pit road, and we will see the green flag fly once again here at Charlotte for the Charlotte 250 for the Velocity Racing League. And I believe we will see that pace car dive down in just a few moments here. And there indeed it does. The green flag will fly. Howie Briss with the restart here once again. Jayden Hopp in that second place spot, and we saw the 81. Jayden Hopp, he was starting to close in on that 97 towards the end there as we approach that caution, but right now it's Howie Briss. He's going to try and take back that lead here and regain some of that distance that he had earlier on. And look at this. 2 wide, 3 deep. Tony Hilbrand, Scott Shire, side by side as we come out of turn 4. Scott Shire a little bit more speed as we come into 1 here. Tony Hilbrand's going to have the low line advantage here. Holding on to that 3rd place spot. And these restarts, this is exactly what's going to happen. And it's what allows these drivers to make all these passes and gain these positions. Oh, wow, look at that. Nick Nickerson right on the tail of Scott Shire. Tony Hilbrand is able to take away and get into that 3rd place spot, give himself a little bit more distance between them. Scott Shire on the outside right now of Nick. Oh, no, actually, as they come into the back straight, he's able to get single file out in front of the 2 of Nick Nickerson. Shawn Williams just behind them, battling it out here with Nicholas Lovell in the 10 machine, trying to grab, really trying to bring in that 10 machine if he possibly can here. But Nicholas Lovell showing some incredible pace here, but Cody Miller looking like he had quite the dive going into 1 there, it seemed like. Patrick Colby down on his inside. Backs off there. It almost looked like they were going to make contact with one another. Cody Miller here in the 28 machine. It's going to be down on the inside of Shawn Williams going into turn 1. It's a battle for 8th place. Nicholas Lovell drops down low. That's going to slow down Cody Miller quite significantly here as we come out of 2 and down the back straight once again. But doors open here once again. Nicholas Lovell drops down low, assuming to throw a little bit of defense here. Realizes he's not going to be able to do it. Goes back up into the mid-line. Cody Miller here with an incredible drive here out of this restart. Lap 39 of 167. Incredible driving here from the 28 of Cody Miller. We'll check back in with them in just a moment. I want to update you on our race leader. Jayden Hopp has taken the lead. Howie Briss in 2nd place right now. You know, and it was definitely looking like the 81, Jayden Hopp, was going to be able to take that lead after some time. It was just a matter of when. So Howie Briss here is going to have to find something to get that time back and be able to reel himself in back into the bumper of the 81 machine. But just behind them, it's a battle for 3rd place as Paul Mikolajczyk, Tony Hilbrand duke it out here, but not even necessarily duke it out. Paul Mikolajczyk looking pretty patient here as he follows behind the 92 of Tony Hilbrand. Side by side, Paul Mikolajczyk on the inside of Tony Hilbrand. Tony taking it very easy on that one, not really putting too much of a fight up for that spot there. Gonna be taking it easy. Still very early on in the race. We're not even halfway through. We're just about a quarter of the way through. So there's still plenty of racing left to do here. We actually have a comment in chat. The 77 hit my nose and sent me flying. Sent me down the infield. I believe that was... Yes, that, if I'm not mistaken, that was Michael Keithley. And the Logan Jones incident there. So Michael Keithley with a little bit of information there that Thomas Sewell apparently gave him a little bit of a bump. Hit his nose and sent him flying. So very interesting to see that bit of information come through, but as the race continues on here, it's very interesting to see how the pace of this race is started to shift just a little bit. Jayden Hopp out in front at this point in time, and let's take a look at our track map just for a brief moment. I just want to explain what's happening here on track. So we kind of have 4 different packs, really, if you want to count the stragglers towards the rear. Jayden Hopp, Howie Briss, both duking it out for first and second. Paul Mikolajczyk, Tony Hilbrands in that second group, battling for third place. And then it starts with Nick Nickerson in the 2 machine, and it goes all the way back to, I believe, the 52 of Steve Ulrich. That is an incredible amount of drivers here to have in this line. And indeed, so Michael Keithley did give us a little bit of information on that last caution that we had, that he did get a little bit of contact from Thomas Sewell in the 77, causing him to go down into the infield. So, right now, the pace of the race is pretty calm at this point in time. There's not a whole lot of battles happening at this point in time. We got this happening right now with Thomas Sewell right now, or that we're looking at. He's kind of in this rear of this pack that we were just listing off here. Steve Ulrich, you can see there, also bringing along Charles Jurek for the ride here as well. Charles, after having a little bit of issues with the sim software, able to get back into the race and going to be down quite a few laps, but going to be making the best of it. Taking a look here at this battle between Caitlyn Height and Shawn Williams. Shawn going to be almost on the bumper of that 18 machine as we go into turn 1. Very patient from Shawn Williams. He's not being super aggressive here, trying to take it easy and let the position just come naturally. If it does at all, if the opportunity opens up. It doesn't always happen. So drivers have to be aware of that. If they're not able to make that pass, if they're going to be pushing themselves too hard, they have to be aware of their limitations. Patrick Colby here, going to be down on the inside of Cody Miller, who we saw with an absolutely incredible charge through the field, up into 7th place, up 10 positions from the start of this race here today. Cody Miller falling and right now just trying to reel in the 4 of Scott Shire, who at the moment, Scott is just a little bit faster than the 28 of Cody Miller at this point in time, but we'll see just how long that lasts here. And given that our first pit stops have already essentially happened for the field, everyone coming down into pit road on lap 30, that's going to offset things to about around a lap 80 or 90 is when drivers are going to come down into pit road again, assuming that things go well here and stay green. Battle for 14th, James Coulibaly and Benny Hogan. Benny Hogan down on the inside of James Coulibaly as they come out of, I believe that's turn 4. Across the checkered line, they're still door to door here. Thomas Sewell kind of just hanging out behind him, not really worrying too much about the whole ordeal. We're going to ride on board here with Thomas Sewell from his helmet camera in the 77 machine, give you guys an idea of what it's like for a lap around Charlotte. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh. On the rev limiter all the way down the straight. Gotta love it. Oh, wow, look at that. Charles Jurek, though. Down on his inside, and I wonder if Charles here, well, he really can't be trying to get back laps. He actually might be. I can't tell for certain, but Charles Jurek here. Oh, whoa, Thomas Sewell there. A little bit of oversteer as he comes out of 4. And that's the thing about Charlotte, too. It's very, very finicky. You know, from all the times that I've personally driven it in the sim world, you know, it always feels like as the race goes on, the line changes ever so slightly. Scott Shire here, after an incredible start to the race, has kind of started to cool off a little bit. Take things a little bit easier. He's holding on to 7th at this point in time. Caitlyn Height right behind him, giving him a little bit of pressure down on his inside. The 18 trying to squeeze her way around the 4 as we come out of turn 4. And across the checkered line, these two are going to be door to door here, going into turn 1. As they both slowly start to track down here Cody Miller in that 28 machine. It looks like Caitlyn Height might possibly be able to pull it off here and get out in front of Scott Shire for that 7th place spot, and she does. Indeed. Yeah, so 7th place for Caitlyn in the 18 machine. Scott Shire here gonna have to figure out something here to get that pace back that he had toward the beginning of this race. And he might still have it. He might just be saving it for when it actually matters. We look just behind them. Patrick Colby, Ashley Milano battling for 10th place here. Patrick Colby right on the bumper of the 51. Going to take it down low. A little bit of distance, quite a bit of distance actually between these two as they come out of turn 4 and across the checkered line. Nicholas Lovell trailing just behind these two drivers here. Nicholas Lovell down the back straight, trying to get himself into the draft of the 9 in front of him. Look at that. He might possibly do that here. Out of turn 4. Down on the inside of the 9 of Patrick Colby. Nicholas Lovell taking that 11th place spot here. Oh man, Patrick Colby falling behind the 10 of Nicholas Lovell. Going to be trying to get back that position that was just taken from him. We're going to ride on board here with Patrick Colby. Caitlyn Height here seems to be on a mission. Up 12 positions from the start of the race, actually, as she battles with Cody Miller in the 28. Cody Miller here in a little bit of trouble, but not quite. Caitlyn Height falling back just a little bit. Resetting for the next attempt here, and really this whole field has started to kind of settle out. Jayden Hopp has really taken away an incredible lead here. Between himself and Howie Briss, it's 4.5 seconds. Oh, look at this. Caitlyn Height almost on the bumper of the 28 machine of Cody Miller. Down the back straight, it's Caitlyn Height still on the inside of Cody Miller. Both of these drivers up 11 positions from the start of this race here. So both of these drivers have an incredible, whoa, that looked a little interesting there for Cody Miller as we came out of 4. But both of these drivers have had an awesome race here so far, and I would hate to see any of them be put out here this late in this race. But Tony Hilbrand's another driver who's had a really good start to this race and has continued to stay up here in this top 3, top 5. Tony Hilbrand's is leading Paul Mikolajczyk and Nick Nickerson at this point in time. Paul continues to show some incredible pace, some incredible speed here, and a lot of patience, I have to say, here as well. Look at that. Tony Hilbrand's out of turn 4, hits the wall just a little bit. It's going to cost him a little bit of time, and Nick here getting as close to the bumper of Paul Mikolajczyk as he can. And of course, Paul Mikolajczyk with a pierogi on his bumper. That is fantastic. Paul Mikolajczyk, known as the Pierogi Bandit here in Velocity Racing League. So Paul is definitely a pierogi connoisseur, to say the least. But anyhow here, Tony Hilbrand's in a little bit of trouble for that third place spot as Nick Nickerson has, out of turn 2. He almost got in trouble there, grinding up against the wall. At least it looked like it there for a moment. Whoa, Tony Hilbrand's, whoa, what happened there? That 92 machine got absolutely unsettled. Came across the grass just a little bit. Down on the front stretch, but he's seemingly doing okay now as we go into turn 3. And back around, but Nick Nickerson able to get around that 92, taking that third place spot here. Just behind them, Caitlyn Height, Paul Mikolajczyk in 5th and 6th place respectively, both starting to close in to that 92 machine here. Lap 68 of 167. I have to imagine here that in the next 20 or 30 laps, we're going to see drivers come down pit road. And we'll see if that has any effect on how this race is going to end or how it's going to shape up here. But one thing I have to mention, though, is that Jayden Hopp has absolutely come away with an impressive lead. Ashley Molyneux coming down here into pit road. Not exactly sure what for. Might just be an early pit stop, if anything here. Just getting things out of the way nice and early. Getting that undercut. But we'll see how that plays out for the 51 machine of Ashley Molyneux and see where she stands after that pit cycle here. And actually another driver coming down here is going to be Michael Ashmore, also coming in a little bit early, it seems, as well. But at this point in time, Howie Briss, after leading the majority of this race and now falling into second with Jayden Hopp in first, and with nearly 5 seconds between the two, it's going to be tough to say what Howie's going to try and do to recover that, if at all. He might even just be comfortable staying in that spot and just trying to hold on to it for as long as he can and possibly finish there. Nick Nickerson here also seems to be quite interested in trying to get around the 97 here, showing some very impressive pace in that number 2 machine. It's how he drops down low here. Nick a little wide there, but still right on the tail of that 97. As we look here in 8th place, Shawn Williams and Nicholas Lovell both battling it out here as more drivers continue to make their way down into pit road. Keith Lee, the next driver to come down here, come down into pit road as well. So pit cycles happening a little sporadically here as things continue on, but the drivers that we really need to pay attention to, Jayden Hopp, Nick Nickerson, Howie Briss, Caitlyn Height, Tony Hilbrands. All 5 of these drivers are all extremely close to one another and should all be paying attention to when each other are going down pit road and seeing if they can take advantage or at least stick with one another and not find themselves down 3-4 positions or more once they come out of pit road. Cody Miller falling back now just a little bit as Shawn Williams and Nicholas Lovell make their way around that 28 machine. Cody Miller had, after that restart, after the first caution, Cody Miller seemingly had something in the tank of that 28 machine that was just, had it in overdrive. Was working his way through the field quite impressively and started to fall off a little bit and might even just be a little bit in fuel saving mode / ultimately just trying to stay alive in this race. But given that we've only had one caution come out for the race so far, things are looking pretty calm and I think has the potential to stay that way. Fingers crossed. Howie Briss, Caitlyn, nope, that is not. That is Tony Hilbrands. I got my numbers mixed up. Howie Briss and Tony Hilbrands here, both duking it out side by side, going into turn 1, door to door. Howie Briss on the outside of Tony Hilbrands. These two have seen battles with each other throughout this season here already, so they're quite comfortable with being door to door with one another lap after lap, but that doesn't last quite as long this time around. Tony Hilbrands able to get around that 97 machine here with relative ease here. Going to be taking that 4th place spot. As we look here, Nick Nickerson in the 2nd place spot at the moment is starting to get a little bit of trouble from Caitlyn Height. Caitlyn here, the first race officially for her season this year for the 2022 VRL Cup Series, coming out extremely strong. Taking that 2nd place spot up 16 positions from the start of this race here today. She is on a mission for this race. That 18 machine definitely seems to have a little bit of something special in the gas tank. Working its way around the track this well, and a lot of patient driving from that 18 driver. Great racing that we're seeing here from both Nick Nickerson and Caitlyn Height. Paul Mikolajczyk here, another driver we have seen who's had some very strong performance throughout the series and as well this race. Paul has been on quite the charge, I would have to say, throughout this race, and definitely has shown that he is able to stay up here in this top 5. I'm more or less curious if that 38 machine has something a little extra saved for later, and might just be even kind of sandbagging the car a little bit, just waiting for the time to come. And it is lap 81 now of 167 here at Charlotte for the Charlotte 250. In this is about the time that I expect drivers to start to come down here into pit road, especially our race leader, Jayden Hopp. Second place and third, Caitlyn Height, Nick Nickerson, Tony Hillbrands, Howie Briss, just to round out your top 5. All going to expect to come down here into pit road. Practically our whole field, actually. We saw a few drivers come down into pit road a little earlier, getting those early pit stops out of the way. But those aren't the only ones that we need to be looking for. As Howie Briss here in 6th place, starting to get a little trouble from Paul Mikolajczyk down on the inside. The caution flies once again. I'm trying to find exactly who, what, and how, and why. What happened? Oh, no, Cody Miller, the 28 machine. Oh, man. You know, and I was really rooting for Cody to do well here in today's race. And, you know, things happen, folks. It's not everything is always going to go the way that you expect it to. So you kind of got to take things for how they are. Ooh, whoa, what happened here? Whoa, this happened way, way back. All right, so this is kind of a domino effect here. That's, wow, this seems to start very, very early on. Okay, so let's actually ride on board here with Cody Miller and see exactly how this all unfolds. So we're coming out of turn 4. You can see the car starting to get a little unhappy, very unhappy. Very unhappy, and we're sliding and crashing. Cody Miller pulls it back together. Oh, whoa, what in the world happened there? Okay, I am intrigued now. That, did he get tapped? No, he didn't get tapped. Yeah, and the car just, okay, so he drops down close to the apron and he just gets really, okay, so he did get tapped from Benny Hogan. Okay, all right, that answers my question. Perfect. Well, folks, that is going to bring out our second caution of the race here today. It is lap 84 of 167 here for the Charlotte 250 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. We are going to take a very quick commercial break. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. And we will be back for more of the Charlotte 250. Thank you all for watching. And we will be right back for more iRacing here on Team Goon Squad.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Charlotte 250, the 2022 VRL Cup Series. It is race number 6. Jayden Hopp is our race leader currently, with Caitlyn Height taking that second place spot. Nick Nickerson in third, with Howie Briss in fourth in the second row. Still falling behind our pace car here at the moment, but we will will be going back to green here momentarily. And as we are now officially halfway through today's race, I gotta say this has been a lot of action-packed racing, and really, you know, given the minor, well, I don't want to say minor, but given the small number of cautions that we've had, the field really has changed quite a lot since the start, and it's only continued to do so. So very great to see these drivers all putting forth their best effort as much as they can, and really great to see these new leaders up here in the front, and Jayden Hopp especially in the 81 machine, just absolutely charging hard here tonight. Hopefully going to see himself taking home the win here for the Charlotte 250. Get a win in under the belt of that 81, and I believe it would be the first win for Jayden Hopp of the series. And indeed it would be the first win for the 81 machine for the season, as the pace car dives down into pit road. Drivers lined up, bumper to bumper, the green flag flies, and we are racing once again here at Charlotte for the Charlotte 250. Caitlyn Height, Nick Nickerson gonna be side by side here. Second place battle going into turn one, a little bit of fall off. The yellow flag flies here already. Drivers all gonna be on those cold tires. So there are issues already as the third caution flies, but I don't exactly know what for. As our timing and scoring here does not have any information available to us as far as what caused this caution here to come out, but kind of at an really at an unideal time, and ultimately gonna let drivers get their tires warmed up here, or at least try to. The 28, Cody Miller getting a lap around, getting a wave around. He's going to join back up with the field in 17th here on this restart. The third caution of today's race. I got to say, folks, again, it's been quite a phenomenal one, to say the least. Just over halfway through the race here today, and man, there has been battles all over the field, and at the beginning of the race it was looking like Howie Briss was going to take away the lead for quite some time there, and around the first caution, around lap 30, once we went green again, Jayden Hopp just seemed to have found something and began to take away this lead, and has continued to do so since then. Here on lap 89 of 167, he's gonna do have another chance at attempt to get himself away from this field as quickly as possible. as it seems like there have been some issues here on this late stage restart, where drivers just came down pit road a little while ago, lap 83, to get a fresh set of tires. So I gotta imagine that they're gonna be a little cold. Driver's gonna be fighting some cold tires here. Track is probably a little warm at this point in time, so you're gonna have some very slick race cars out there. It's gonna be rather difficult to get that grip down. Gonna be difficult to get that power down when you need it effectively. Now it's, you can mash on the throttle and hope for the best, but if more than likely you're gonna find yourself spinning out into the wall, into someone else, whatever the case may be. So things changing on the track as the race goes on, and drivers having to adapt kind of on the fly here. Gonna be some interesting action here as things go forward. And I believe this time around we'll see the lights go off on the pace car, indicating the last time with the pace car around us. So we'll see if this next restart proves to be a little bit better for our drivers this time around, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see some interesting battles happen up here towards the front of the field. We got Howie Briss, Paul Mikolajczyk, Jayden Hopp, who we've seen lead this race tremendously well. Howie Briss as well, leading the race towards the beginning, finding himself still in the top 5 at this point in time. Going to have another chance here to keep himself in that contending spot. Caitlyn Height, a driver that we have seen work her way through this field extremely well, up 15 positions from the start of this race here, and going to be looking to try and hold on to that third place spot here as we enter lap 91 of 167. And once we go green, it's going to be wild for all of these drivers here, and hopefully we'll see them keep things steady here on this next time around. And I'm still a little confused as to what happened for this third caution to come out. I'd have to imagine it was probably a self-spin of some kind. So the pace car drops down into pit road, and the green flag will fly. Jayden Hopp launches on the gas. Caitlyn Height following just behind. Nick Nickerson on her outside as we go into turn 2. Howie Briss just behind them with Paul Mikolajczyk down on the inside. We're 2 wide, 3 deep for second place at this point in time. Let's see if we can keep it green here. As we come out of turn 2 down the back straight, looks like we're good so far. Into 3. Caitlyn Height falling back just a little bit here coming out of turn 4. Paul Mikolajczyk right on the tail of that 18 machine. Nick Nickerson taking that second place spot. Now going to be starting to get himself away from this batch of drivers that he's found himself with here. But Jayden Hopp as well, getting himself a nice, comfortable gap here, nice and early on this restart here. Almost a second separates himself in second place at this point in time. Howie Briss in that third place spot now, falling behind Nick Nickerson. Howie, after falling down a few positions from where he was at the start of the race, obviously leading the first 30 laps or so at the beginning of this race, he's itching to get back up here in the front. We look a little bit further back towards the midfield. Scott Shire. Wow, look at that, down on the inside of Nicholas Lovell. Nicholas looked a little unsettled there for just a moment, going to be falling back into that 8th place spot with Shawn Williams on his outside as we come across the line. Going into turn 1 here once more. Nicholas Lovell, Shawn Williams going to be door to door. Lap 95 of 167. Nicholas Lovell. Whoa, that was very, very interesting there for Nicholas. That camera angle is definitely pretty deceiving in that one. It made it look like it was a lot closer than it actually was. But very impressive driving here from Nicholas Lovell as he charges down on the inside of the 89 of Shawn Williams, going into turn 1 here once more, trying to get himself into that 8th place spot. The 12 machine of James Coulibaly starting to work his way up into the top 10 here now as well. He's in 9th at this point in time as he's worked his way around Nicholas Lovell. Things already starting to settle out here fairly quickly. Lap 97 of 167. I think at this point drivers are starting to really kick things into gear here and focus on the end. Benny Hogan and Nicholas Lovell here is going to be door to door. Some of the closest action that we have right now on track as drivers mostly single file throughout the field. Shawn Williams, James Coulibaly here now duking it out for that 8th place spot as they come out of turn 4. So again, you know, as this starts to happen, as we have drivers start to spread out, you can see down in the bottom right hand side of your screen just kind of what I mean. It's still a little bit close depending on where you're looking. But for the most part, most of our drivers here are looking at about a quarter of a second gap between one another, and it's pretty consistent there. So we're not seeing a whole lot of drivers kind of sending it in on one another, really pushing the bumpers of each other. Drivers are really starting to just kind of take things easy here and just play it till the end. We still have one more pit lap. Yeah, we're definitely going to have one more pit stop before the end of the race here today, so that's gonna be around, I would have to say, lap 130. Lap 130, 140 would be my guess for the final pit lap here for today's race. So with that in mind, you know, it's interesting to see that we're not seeing a whole lot of just very close battles, kind of tight pack racing that we saw earlier on. But again, we've kind of already went over this a little bit as as the track starts to warm up a little bit. The line starts to change for these drivers, and it just kind of changes the pace of the race. And it's kind of, again, you have to adapt. You have to learn how to drive the new line pretty quickly within a couple laps. Again, as this track warms up, you're not able to get down the grip that you normally were towards the beginning when the track was a little bit cooler. And as your tires heat up and wear out, it only escalates the problem. But right now, drivers still on relatively fresh tires. Drivers came down into pit road, lap 83, so we're still looking at drivers only on these tires for about 20 laps at this point in time. So not really looking at a whole lot of issues at this point in time, but still definitely going to be feeling the effects of that warmer track, as they're going to be sliding around a little bit more than usual. Not a terrible amount, but they're still definitely going to be lifting off that throttle probably a little bit more, maybe a little bit earlier. look here, Tony Hilbrand, another driver who we've seen have some incredible performance here. Well, after a podium, they're not seeing the podium for quite some time. Tony Hilbrand's taking the win for last week's race at North Wilkesboro, and coming in here today trying to recreate that as much as he possibly physically can. Tony Hilbrand's still in that 6th place spot, so can't really discount that 92 machine. He's done everything he can to stay up here, and he's still looking pretty phenomenal up here. And again, anything can change throughout these races, so you can't exactly just assume that Jayden Hopp is going to come away with the win, even despite the fact knowing that he has over a 1.25 seconds between himself and 2nd place driver Howie Briss. Taking a look at another driver that we have seen with very strong performance here tonight, Cody Miller in the 28 machine, getting a little bit unsteady here, it looks like. We're going to actually ride on board here with Cody Miller in that 28 machine. You can see, Ashley Molyneux down on his inside. Ashley taking that 14th place spot, and it's going to work her way around Matthew Fitz as well. Going out of 4 down the front straight. Cody Miller in the 28 just going to follow behind the 51 kind of loosely here. Going into turn 1. Going out of turn 2, excuse me, my brain just shut off there for a moment, it seemed like. Yeah, definitely Cody, I'm not exactly sure. It looked like for a moment that Cody was fighting that machine a lot more than it looked like from inside the cockpit view. Now he's still definitely fighting a little bit going into these turns, but it looked like it was a lot worse. Whoa. Excuse me here, folks. Down on the apron, Cody Miller, a bit of an issue. Excuse me. I have a little bit of issues myself up here in the booth. We actually have some very interesting action happening up here for 4th place at this point in time. Caitlyn Height, Paul Mikolajczyk, Tony Hilbrand battling for 4th place. Caitlyn Height down on the inside of Paul Mikolajczyk in the 38 machine as they come on a turn 4. Caitlyn has done incredible work here, getting all the way up here into the top 5, trying to hold on to 4th place here. She was in the top 3 there a few laps ago, but has ultimately found herself in 4th at this point in time. Has only got to work her way up to Nick Nickerson, and right now, based on timing, she has the pace. As we are on lap 113 of 167 here. Caitlyn Height in that 4th place spot. Really at this point in time, all she's got to do is just continue on with this line that she's got, and with the pace that she has, she'll be on the bumper of Nick Nickerson here before too long. And Paul Mikolajczyk here really is just kind of along for the ride. He's staying very close to that 18 machine, trying to stay as close as he can without getting into the rear end. of that 18 machine. Now, we're getting closer towards the kind of the final quarter of this race here. Lap 114 of 167 for today's race here today. And let's see if we could take another peek at our point standings here. Yes, we are. Okay, perfect. All right, so we had a little bit of troubles with this earlier on at the beginning of the race, but we're going to take this moment to have a look at our current point standings while the action is kind of stagnated out at this point in time. Howie Briss leads the points standings at this moment with, I believe that is 848 points. Shawn Williams just behind him in second place, and Nicholas Lovell in third. So right now, Howie Briss, even despite not being in that first place spot that he started with, he's still going to be in quite the comfortable spot. Now, the next person that we would want to see kind of up here in the top three would be Shawn Williams, but he's down quite a few points here as well. Looks like down 102 points based on that math. But right now, let's round out our current standings. Howie Briss obviously leading currently our championship standings. Shawn Williams in second, Nicholas Lovell in third, Benny Hogan in fourth, Tony Hilbrand's in fifth, James Coulibaly in sixth, Charles Jurek in seventh, Nick Nickerson in eighth, Scott Shire in ninth, Jayden Hopp in 10th, Michael Keithley in 11th, Jeffrey Fisher in 12th, Matthew Fitz in 13th, James Miller in 14th, Thomas Sewell in 15th, Cody Welsh in 16th, Colby Kersey in 17th, Bill Harkins in 18th, Michael Ashmore in 19th, and Daniel Mosteller in 20th. So that was a look at our current point standings for the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Right now, as we continue on with this race, things have kind of started to stagnate a little bit amongst the drivers for as far as battles are concerned. There's a few happening out on track right now. You're looking at the one between Patrick Colby and Benny Hogan for the 9th place spot here at this point in time. You can see Nicholas Lovell trailing just behind them as well. Going to be looking down here on the inside, just staying behind as close as he can to Patrick Colby. Benny Hogan going to be in trouble here. He's going to get passed by Nicholas. Oh, maybe not. Benny Hogan here not gonna go down without a fight. But staying to that middle line, he's not going to have anywhere to go here this time around. That's going to give Nicholas Lovell the door. To get around Benny Hogan here and take that 10th place spot. Tony Hilbrand's here in 5th place with Paul Mikolajczyk just behind him in 6th. These two have kind of almost been around each other for practically the majority of this. Well, I don't want to say the majority, but for a good chunk of this race here, the 92 and the 38 have been around each other. And surprisingly, we haven't seen more of Howie Briss, Tony Hilbrand duking it out side by side, but really they've kind of both just kind of been in different area codes on the racetrack here today. So not a whole lot of bumping and grinding between those two drivers here today, but given just how fast this track is and given how much distance these guys have set between one another, not really too surprised by that. I want to know for the folks at home, for everyone watching at home right now, do you think Jayden Hopp is going to come home with the win for today's race? Or do you think there is another driver here that might possibly come home with the win if something that we do not know about yet, some unforeseen event happens and finds Jayden Hopp out of the race here? I want to know, what are your predictions? What are your thoughts? Does Jayden Hopp have it in the bag, or is it going to be someone else taking the podium? for the Charlotte 250. Right now, it seems to me Jayden Hopp clearly is very comfortable here in first place, and definitely seems like he's going to possibly take home the win here today, but I wouldn't exactly say that he has it in the bag here. Lap 124 of 167, we're going to see drivers come down pit road here in a few laps, I would have to imagine. Lap 130 to 140 was my guesstimate. The last time we were doing a little math here. Caitlyn Height with the move around Nick Nickerson out of turn 4, puts her in third place here. Lap 125 of 167, and believe it or not, here at the beginning of before the race even started, Caitlyn Height and Ashley Molyneux both were kind of joking amongst themselves that they were going to crash out the second lap of the race, and here they are. Caitlyn Height in third at this point in the race, and Ashley Molyneux still holding on in 13th at this point in time, but 124 laps more than what they predicted for the start of their race here today. So great work to the both of them as we have pit cycles starting here. Tony Hilbrands, Ashley Molyneux, Matthew Fitz all coming down here into pit road, going to start off their final pit stop for the race here today. As Jayden Hopp here still in the lead, we're going to be paying attention to when he comes down into pit road. That is going to be the most important one of them all. As Howie Briss here, Caitlyn Height going to be duking it out now for that second place spot. And I got to give credit to Caitlyn here in that 18 machine. She has shown some incredible drive out of that 18 machine, and it has been absolutely phenomenal. Howie Briss here, man, you know, it's really interesting to see how much different it looks. Ooh, what happened there? Someone was down there in the grass. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but someone came sliding across the grass on the front straight, sending up a whole bunch of smoke. Here goes Caitlyn Height around the 97 of Howie Briss, able to take that second place spot. But we'll see how long that lasts here. Again, we're going to see drivers come down here into pit road, and last time we saw these drivers come down pit road, positions changed dramatically for these drivers. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects them once again here as we approach our final pit stop here. Lap 129 of 167. The window is already open for these drivers, so it's just a matter of when. Jayden Hopp here, he's going to be in trouble before too long. Caitlyn Height with some incredible pace at this point in time. I don't know, we might see the inverse of the 81, the 18 machine, knocking on the rear bumper of that 81 here before too long. But again, with pit stops going to be starting here in just a few laps for these drivers. Man, it's going to be an interesting battle here all the way to the end. As we are just over 30 laps left to go. Nick Nickerson also making his way down into pit road after he was in that second place spot for quite some time here. Man, you know, at right now, I'm trying to figure this out in my head here. I'm trying to determine how this is going to play out here. Oh, whoa, Jayden Hopp here, coming down pit road. All right, this changes everything. Never mind. Forget what I was about to say. Not important anymore. Jayden Hopp, Howie Briss, both coming down here into pit road to finish off their final pit stop for the night. And it's going to give the lead to Caitlyn Height for the first time. Her first race of the season. And only going to be a short-lived lap led as she comes down into pit road. A smart move for the 18. Taking advantage of that time while it's open. And as we have a battle now between Paul Mikolajczyk and Shawn Williams. These two drivers technically going to be in the lead here. And once the rest of our field cycles into pit road, Jayden Hopp should take back the lead. Oh, look at that. Shawn Williams, major unsettled. Out of turn 4, he pulls it back together. Slows that 89 machine down. That almost could have been very, very bad for Shawn Williams. Cody Miller coming down here into pit road. There's only a few drivers left. 5 by my count. Paul Mikolajczyk now making his way into pit road. Shawn Williams, Benny Hogan, Steve Ulrich, Tony Hilbrands are the only drivers left that need to come down into pit road before the end of this race. Otherwise, they will be finding themselves parked on the infield, waiting for the tow truck to come tow them back to pit road because they ran out of fuel. But luckily, I don't think we've seen any drivers do that yet here this season, and so far everyone has shown that they're more than capable of completing all of their pit stops here for these races. So great to see that for all of our drivers, that pit stops here definitely playing a major factor in the series and definitely throughout the races. So all these drivers here with a lot of different strategies and different methods, and it's all great to witness how it all unfolds here. As Shawn Williams starts to get past out of, I believe that was turn 3 by drivers on those fresh tires. Shawn Williams still on the same set from lap 83. You can see just how much faster the rest of the field is on those fresher set of tires here. Jayden Hopp here, currently in 5th at the moment, but again, once the rest of the field cycles down into pit road, and actually, I just overlooked something. Tony Hilbrands here, Mr. won the race last week at North Wilkesboro, came down pit road lap 125. I don't know how or why I missed that, but I did. And, well, that changes things a little bit here, to say the least. So Tony Hilbrands is going to be, theoretically, he's going to be able to stay out here in the front. Once Shawn Williams, Benny Hogan, and Steve Ulrich cycle down through pit road, Tony Hilbrands might possibly take home the win here. Things are looking very, very interesting here for the race here today. And, well, even with that in mind, Jayden Hopp he's shown incredible pace throughout this race here today. So I wouldn't exactly put it out of the question that Jayden Hopp might be able to catch up to the 92 there of Tony Hilbrands. Based on timing right now, it looks like that they are slowly reeling in that 92 machine here, as it looks like we're going to start to see some of the drivers that are still out in front come down here into pit road. there you see it on the top of your screen. 26 laps left to go here for the Charlotte 250 for the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Here we see Shawn Williams making his way down here into pit road. Benny Hogan now going to be our current leader at this point in time. And here we see Tony Hilbrand's at the moment going to be theoretically leading this race once Benny Hogan comes down here into pit road. And while that happens, oh, wow, look at this. Jayden Hopp closing in on that 92 of Tony Hilbrand's. The 12 of James Coulibaly as well, just kind of trailing behind Jayden Hopp here at this point in time. Jayden Hopp goes very, very wide into one. Not a two down the back straight. Almost looks like he's just kind of letting James Coulibaly go by. And there we go. We're up bumper to bumper between these two. Tony Hilbrand's now in front of Jayden Hopp. Didn't take long for the 81 to reel in that 92 machine. So again, once Benny Hogan comes down into pit road, and even if he doesn't, he is going to get past here very, very quickly. Benny Hogan not keeping the same pace as these drivers here currently. Jayden Hopp on the outside of Tony Hilbrand's out of turn 4. Nick Nickerson looking to take this 3 wide here possibly. Going into turn 1, Tony Hilbrand's now going to be on the door of Nick Nickerson as they spread apart here a little bit. Going into 1, Jayden Hopp able to get out in front of all that mix here. He looks like he's going to be able to retake this lead as soon as Benny Hogan gets himself down into pit road. So right now, we kind of have a battle, a four-way battle essentially for the lead. Almost. Jayden Hopp, Nick Nickerson, Tony Hilbrand's, and Caitlyn Height, all 4 of these drivers very close to one another, and I say very close, but there's still a little bit of distance starting to form between them as Tony Hilbrand's and Caitlyn Height here both battle it out for 4th place, and both of them are going to have to catch up to the 2 of Nick Nickerson in order to get into a podium finish here for today's race, with 20 laps left to go. And with 20 laps left to go here, folks, we are going to take one final commercial break before we get to the end of the action here. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned, and we will be back for more of the 2022 VRL Cup Series Charlotte 250. Thank you all for watching, and we will be back for more iRacing here on Team Goon Squad.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona's a pit. What
Welcome back, race fans. 17 laps left to go here for the Charlotte 250 for the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Caitlyn Hopp, while we were away on that commercial break, has worked her way up into that second place spot. That 18 machine showing incredible drive here tonight for the Charlotte 250. 16 laps left to go here. Let's see if it's going to be enough here to finish out today's race. Jayden Hopp also has shown incredible pace here tonight. Was able to get himself quite a comfortable gap there before the final pit stops happened there. And now he's starting to get a little bit of pressure from behind from Caitlyn Hopp. Riding on board here with the 18 machine. You can see just how close she's getting to the rear end of Jayden Hopp, going into turn 3 and out of 4. Down on the inside of the 81. Oh no, there's trouble for Jayden Hopp. He scrapes the wall down the front stretch, giving the lead to that 18 machine. Back in the first place spot here once more, Caitlyn Hopp. 14 laps left to go. She has the opportunity now to take home a win for the 2022 Cup Series. And after missing the first few races, what a way to make a comeback. Patrick Colby and Ashley Molyneux here. And another set of drivers very close to one another in position. Ashley holding on to that 9th place spot, and Patrick Colby not quite able to keep the same pace as that 51 machine right now. Right now, if you're looking at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can see just how much the field has spread out and how really this end of the race here, things are shaping up to be pretty well solidified as long as drivers continue to keep doing what they're doing and stay steady, especially in these final few laps here. Tony Hilbrand's here in that 4th place spot, who I thought was going to possibly be able to stay out in for. Ooh, wow, a little bit of got a little loose there coming out of 4, but based on when he came down into pit road last time around, I had a feeling that Tony Hilbrand might have been able to stay out in front and lead this race and possibly take home the win here, but doesn't quite look like those tires are going to be able to keep up with the rest of the field that came down not even just 7 laps after him. So a bit surprising that the pace is that much different here between these guys, but it also might just be Tony is not quite having the same race that he was having last week at North Wilkesboro. So a couple different factors could be coming in here in today's race, but at this point in time, Tony here is still going to be looking at coming home with a 4th place finish once things are all said and done here. 9 laps left to go before we see the end of today's race here. And I gotta say, it has been absolutely phenomenal from start to finish. As we look here with Jayden Hopp, the driver who was leading the majority of this race, I would have to say at least 70% of this race, here in 2nd place now. He has Nick Nickerson behind him in third, and Benny Hogan, who is a lap down, going to be looking to unlap himself as he makes his way around the 81 machine of Jayden Hopp. Benny Hogan here looking to complete the race, at least on the lead lap here. Checking in here with Shawn Williams and Ashley Molyneux. It looks like the 89, after some time, was able to get himself around that 51 machine here and take that 9th place spot. Ashley going to be holding on to 10th place here, looking to take home at least the top 10. Five laps left to go as we cross the line. Jayden Hopp, Nick Nickerson in that 2nd and 3rd place spot here. Nick trying to do all that he can to get to the bumper of that 81 machine, but going to take quite a bit of work here. And it looks like Caitlyn Height also coming into a bit of lap traffic that might slow down that 18 machine just enough for our 2nd and 3rd place drivers to catch up and put themselves back into a little bit of a battle here with only 4 laps left to go here. Probably not going to see that happen. Howie Briss and Tony Hilbrands, though, they found themselves next to each other here for the final few laps of the race, and they're going to have a few laps to battle it out for this 4th place spot. Tony Hilbrands taking 4th at this moment. Howie Briss just behind him in 5th. And a driver coming down into pit road, that's going to be Matthew Fitz. Not sure exactly what for, with only 3 laps left to go here. Two laps left to go. Caitlyn Height still our race leader. Jayden Hopp, Nick Nickerson, 2nd and 3rd. Jayden Hopp here doing all he can in that 81 machine to hold on to 2nd place, and Nick here as well, just trying to drive the wheels off of this 2 machine as the white flag flies here at Charlotte for the Charlotte 250. Caitlyn Height going to be looking to take home her first win of the season, and after a very long and grueling race that had a lot of uncertainty thrown into it, but a healthy mix of green flag runs that ultimately, I think, helped the 18 machine here today. And across the line she goes for the win of the Charlotte 250 2022 VRL Cup Series. Jayden Hopp, Nick Nickerson crossing the line, 2nd and 3rd place. Some phenomenal driving out of all of our drivers here present today. As we await our post-race results, we're going to go ahead and go get some of our drivers ready for their post-race interviews. And here are the post-race results. It will be Caitlyn Height with the win, Jayden Hopp in 2nd, Nick Nickerson in 3rd, Tony Hilbrands in 4th, Howie Briss in 5th, Paul Mikolajczyk in 6th, Nicholas Lovell in 7th, Scott Shire in 8th, Shawn Williams in 9th, Ashley Molyneux in 10th, Patrick Colby in 11th, Thomas Sewell in 12th, Benny Hogan in 13th, Cody Miller in 14th, Steve Ulrich in 15th, James Koulibaly in 16th, Matthew Fitz in 17th, Michael Ashmore in 18th, Charles Jurek in 19th, Keith Lee in 20th, James Miller in 21st, Howie Dietrich in 22nd, Logan Jones in 23rd, and last but certainly not least, Michael Keithley in 24th. That is all of our drivers here for our race here today. And that is our post-race results, and we are going to go ahead and get started with our post-race interviews, starting with the number 2 here of Nick Nickerson. Nick, sir, do you have a read? Hello, Nick. Nick, sir, are you there? Alrighty, so it looks like Nickerson here is going to be a little away from the keyboard at the moment. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next driver, Jayden Hopp in the 81 machine, taking home second place here today. Jayden, sir, can you read me?
Yeah, I can.
Jayden, this was really an interesting race from start to finish, and really the one thing that stood out to me the most, Jayden, was that the 81 machine, just after that first caution, you just came out of nowhere. It seemed like you took the lead from Howie Briss, and that was pretty much it. Jayden, kind of walk me through what was going on in the first part of the race before the first caution, and what kind of clicked in your head and made you lead all those laps before ultimately taking home second here today.
Actually, I was getting past him in the first place. It was kind of tight, which just made that first pass difficult. But once I got past him, it was kind of clean sailing for me.
Absolutely. And coming here today to Charlotte, only having 3 cautions come out for the race here today, do you think the green flag runs kind of had a lot to do with where you placed today, or did you think it had something else to do with it?
I'd say, yeah, it did. It really helped on that first long run. The balance felt great, but when we got into the second one, I just couldn't get the balance, it seemed.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely seemed as the race went on, a lot of drivers are starting to struggle a little bit, just keeping that same pace, keeping that same line that we all saw at the beginning of the race. But Jayden, you had a phenomenal race, and taking home second place here today, you got to be pretty proud of that. But before I let you go and before you celebrate here tonight, is there anyone at home, anyone watching the broadcast, or anyone in your pit crew that you would like to shout out or thank before you go?
Not really. Just thank you for putting on a good broadcast, and Tony for putting on a good lead.
Absolutely, Jayden. Well, thank you for coming up here and chatting with me in the booth, and congratulations again on taking home second and a phenomenal driving out of the 81 machine, Jayden. I look forward to seeing you next week, and hopefully we'll have a similar conversation.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jayden. Have a great night. That is Jayden Hopp out of the booth, taking home second place here for today's race. Last but certainly not least, actually, let's see if we can get Nick Nickerson in here one more time before we move on to our race winner. Nick, sir, do you have a read?
Yeah, man, I got you.
There you are. All right, so we went ahead and did our second place interview, but we're taking a step back here to make sure that you get your interview here as well. Nick, this was a very tricky race. You didn't have a whole lot of cautions come out, but they came out all at kind of very weird times. But for you, it didn't really have too much of an effect. Granted, you did finish the race in third. You started off in second. How did you feel about Charlotte tonight, and did it end the way that you expected it to?
Yeah, man. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to get out of my sim rig and onto another computer for the interview. It was a long race and it got very hot, so I had to get up. But
no worries.
yeah, man, it's just I'm still kind of like learning how to drive these things optimally. That first statement, I just burned my tires off, like, and fell back to, I don't know, like 10th place or something like that. And then after that, I got new tires. I kind of figured it out. I started feeling a little more comfortable. I kind of realized how much wheel that I can put into the corners, and I got a decent amount better. I mean, not as fast as Caitlyn there. I don't know how she was saving tires that well, but congratulations to her. But yeah, it's all I'm doing is taking these races, and if I can learn just a little bit more every race, that's a win for me. And then maybe one day I can compete with these guys who've been doing this for a couple seasons.
Absolutely. And Nick, you were looking extremely solid out there on track here tonight. And even as the race went on, we were starting to see a lot of drivers struggling with it seemed like just keeping grip on track. It seemed like as the race went on, track got a little bit warmer. Tires weren't seemingly as happy as they were towards the beginning of the race, but you were looking quite comfortable up there in that top 3, top 5. It even looked like you might have been possibly able to be in contention for that first place spot there, but you said it yourself there. Caitlyn just had I don't even know what she found in that 18 machine towards the end of the race, but it was just she drove the wheels off that thing, and I'm sure we're gonna hear about it here in just a few moments. But Nick, I want to give you the floor here to thank your sponsors, thank anyone in the pit crew, anyone watching the broadcast. The floor is yours,
Man.
Nick.
Cool. Just gotta thank Tony for putting the league on and inviting me over, man. It's been a blast, and it's been somewhat of a struggle to try to get my mind, to grasp how to drive these particular cars, because you got a lot less horsepower and you got to deal with momentum and tires a lot more. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more out of it. And man, thank everybody watching, and thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, man. Can't wait to watch this one.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming up here and joining me in the booth, and congratulations on taking home third. Hopefully we'll get to have a similar conversation and continue to improve in that 2 machine, Nick.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Too.
That is Nick Nickerson, our third place driver, out of the booth here today, and our last but certainly not least driver, Caitlyn Height, the winner for today's race in the 18 machine. Caitlyn, do you have a read?
Hello?
Caitlyn, you had an incredible race, Caitlyn. You worked up 17 positions throughout this race. Caitlyn, I was reading some of the conversations that both yourself and Ashley were having before the race, and you predicted yourself to, well, essentially bin the car in lap 2. How does it feel coming home with the win today for the Charlotte 250?
Well, to be honest, I kind of had to work at it. I didn't think I was going to actually win because how far Jayden was ahead of everyone. I just sort of was surprised that I was able to stay with him before pit stops and close that gap. But after the stops was like the most I had pushed all night long, because I just felt like the tire drop off and how the car drove was really coming around later.
Yeah, and it definitely seemed like you picked up something that the rest of the field was just not quite getting towards the later half of the race. Now, one of the other drivers, Jayden Hopp, we saw Jayden was just driving the wheels off of that 81 machine for quite some time, and he even said it himself just a few moments ago that towards the end of the race he was just struggling to try and find that line, find that consistency and that pace. And you even said it yourself, the 18 was just gone. Before you knew it, you just had the lead and you were just out there. Caitlyn, it was absolutely phenomenal watching you progress through this race. Now, one more question I have for you. I mentioned this at the beginning, you worked your way up 17 positions from the beginning of this race. Now, walk me through kind of what it was like doing so, and did you happen to find yourself in any tricky spots that you weren't sure that you were going to make it out of?
I just sort of was playing it extremely patient, and I kind of figured that with the tires the way they are, if I just saved a little bit, I could slowly climb through the field each time. But I just figured that doing so would sort of put me at a disadvantage to the leaders naturally, but I just figured just being patient, being easy with the tires, I could gain something. But if it would have stayed green, I have no idea if a win would have been possible regardless. But yeah, I just felt really comfortable around everyone else. I saw a few people get loose out of 4 a bunch of times and was just hoping that that wouldn't happen with me on the inside if that were the case. But yeah, I think everyone did a really good job at just sort of minding their cars as well. So that kind of helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing I really appreciate about this league is that every single driver here, they're very respectful of one another. And usually if they do mess up, pretty quick to own up to it. So great to see that. But Caitlyn, I want to congratulate you on taking home the win and for your first race of the season here after a little bit of a hiatus. Caitlyn, phenomenal performance here tonight, and I want to give you the floor to shout out your sponsors, shout out anyone watching the broadcast or anyone in the pit crew. Caitlyn, the floor is yours.
All right, well, first off, I want to thank the AMR Safety Queens, the Wheel, the maidens back at Prismatic, Papa Jim's Lasagna, and the Renault Factory Support.
Absolutely. Well, Caitlyn, thank you for joining me here in the booth. And again, congratulations on taking home the win for the Charlotte 250. And I hope to see you next week and hopefully get to have a similar conversation again.
All right, thank you.
All right, Caitlyn, you have a great night. Caitlyn Height out of the booth, taking home the win in the 18 machine for the Charlotte 250. And that is going to conclude our coverage of the race here today for the 2022 VRL Cup Series, round number 6. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw here tonight, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already to catch all the action that we have here 7 days a week. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here.